It is a project that we should support for us, for the future generations, and for all the Mediterranean, for all Europe and globally. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to be with you today at this event that highlights the critical connection between cultural heritage and sustainable tourism, focusing on one of the most important monuments of our country and the region, the Temple of Apollo Epicurus. I would like to warmly congratulate all the institutions that work systematically for this preservation, the region of Western Greece, the effort of Antiquities of Philia, the scientists, the citizens who actively support the common effort, of course the EU teams, and of course our region. Congratulations once again. It's amazing that your work is really progressing, and with you so many years now supporting this. Cultural heritage and sustainable tourism are under the notion of the Greek state and the Greek Parliament, which the Environment Committee I represent, very closely interconnected pillars of development, while the need to adapt monuments to the new climatic conditions shaped by the climate crisis has now become a central objective of our national policy. And if some of you remember, it was Greece that put this objective to present cultural monuments from climate change into the UN policies. The UN has now a very comprehensive agreement, both scientific and political agreement for the preservation of the cultural heritage from climate change. And this is because of Greece, and this is because of some very important countries that we really care about preserving our past for the future. Specifically, Greece has adopted the national strategy on the adaptation on cultural heritage of climate change, so specific national strategy, including vulnerability mapping of monuments and specialized protection plans. Secondly, we have the strengthening of the energy and operational upgrading of the museums and all the archaeological sites so that they become more resilient and environmentally sustainable. So you have to do a lot of more work far beyond than Epicurus-Apollo. So this project, this pilot project, will be duplicated many times. And the promotion of digital cultural policy with integrated systems for documentation, digitalization, and management of cultural resources. Dear Kostas, you already mentioned some very specific applications of this digital procedure. The preservation of monuments concerns not only their historic value, which is unique, but also it concerns strengthening the resilience of the local communities itself, promoting sustainable economy in the region and shaping the new development model that respects both the environment and our cultural wealth, sustainable wealth for our countries. The Temple of Epicurus-Apollo, recognized as the very first UNESCO World Heritage Monument, is an architectural masterpiece with unique characteristics that make it a landmark of international importance. I would like at this moment to congratulate the local communities that are there. I see some representatives of them here, Yannis, for example, and they stand for the preservation of this unique temple. In recent years, and through systematic interventions by the ministry, significant works have been carried out, such as the restoration of the northern sections of the temple. Congratulations on your ongoing stable work. And of course, the installation of a new protective shelter. We're looking forward to it. We have a long way to go. However, there are specific proposals and there is a specific funding dedicated for the new shelter. At the same time, this central objective remains the replacement and the modernization of the existing shelter covering the monument. We don't wish to see this monument covered in the same old-fashioned religion. We'd like to see something more modern. Let's see what you have to present to us, in order to ensure even more effective protection and long-term preservation under the increasingly demanding conditions created by climate change. These efforts contribute to the conservation and adequate reinforcement of the monument, aiming at its long-term preservation for future generations, while also enhancing its aesthetic value. So the question here is also to protect Apollo Epicurus from climate change, but also to have an aesthetic approach that will let us really enjoy and be inspired by this beautiful and unique monument. And even today in the morning, I was speaking with representatives of the Ministry of Culture, and we're also in the process of opening a new cafeteria very close there, a new location, a new focal point to provide services for the visitors, because this is a place where visitors from all over the world should go and see. It is the most well-preserved temple of Greece, one of the most important temples worldwide, with great symbolisms and great lessons for our life today. So it is not only the architecture, which is excellent, but also the history and the legend that goes, and really, I think they really radiate what Apollo Epicuro means. And something outside of my speech, I always say, I support, and I would like you also to support the return of the marbles of Epicuro from the British Museum to Greece. So Greece should not only request for the marbles of Parthenon. Of course, this is our #1 priority, but we have other parts of temples from Epicuro, from other, I don't want really now to open the whole discussion about this, but the British Museum and other museums, they do have parts of our temples. So we don't request back all the Greek exhibits from all the museums. We just ask to have back the parts of our temple, because it is also a principle of UNESCO to achieve the integrity of the temples, the integrity of the buildings, of our historic buildings. So it is important. So last but not least, in the recent digitalization, going back to my speech, and the creation of this three-dimensional model within the framework of the HERIT ADAPT model, they constitute an innovative practice that combines scientific knowledge with technological innovation. I would like to formally invite you to present your work before the Environment Committee of the Parliament. I think this would be really important for all of us. And apart from inviting the amazing team to present their work to the Parliament, I'd like to invite all of you this summer to come and visit us in Iliria. It is an amazing part of culture, part of beauty, and of joy. Please come and know yourself what the beauty of ancient and modern world is. Thank you very much.